to heal your emotions, okay, your overthinking, your anxiety, okay, mostly anxiety because most people suffer from anxiety today, okay, because of the information that they're given, okay, and the quantity of information that they're given and the amount of information they have to digest. Okay, good morning, Jay, good morning. So we are going to we're going to examine all of that and talk about it, and I'll give you real life stories from real people. In fact, I wrote a book about it. I don't know where I put my book. Where did I put? Oh, here it is. All right, hang on, you guys. Hang on. All right. Okay, yeah, we're moving things around. We're installing new equipment, but this is the book, okay? And it's called The Universal Law of Attraction and Singing. Okay, now this book is not about singing, it's not about how to sing, it's about how people change their lives through the healing that they accomplished through their voice. Okay, and that's why the universal law of attraction is in there. Why? Because like attracts like. Okay, now we're talking about like-mindedness, we're talking about people that have, the same interests. Okay, that kind of like attracts like. Now, manifestation is your subconscious. It's all subconscious. Okay, so there's the conscious, subconscious, and superconscious. We went over that a little bit yesterday, but the superconscious represents God or whatever you think that is. Okay, so if you don't believe in God, then there's only the conscious and subconscious. If you believe in God, there's a superconscious, and that affects the subconscious. Okay, so that accentuates what's in your subconscious, what you believe to be true, how you see the world, things like that. Okay, now how are we talking about this healing in what context? It stops overthinking, it stops anxiety. Okay, many people. I make no medical claims. I have to say that legally. Okay, but many people have gotten off their meds because they heal themselves. Okay, the kingdom is within. Jesus Christ said the kingdom is within. Okay, so everything you need is in here. Okay, now it depends, right? I always tell people they should be diagnosed if they really have a severe problem. They should be diagnosed first to find out what it is. Okay, and then work with me and see what happens because people have done that. I had a client in the UK. I see clients all over the world. This morning I have a client in Puerto Rico. So I have this client in the UK and he was on antidepressants. He got off. He's enjoying life now. He travels throughout the UK on his motorbike and has fun and, actually has a better job now and is doing very well. Okay. But what is this? Well, it's a combination of the vagus nerve, okay, and hormones. So the vagus nerve is your longest cranial nerve. It goes all the way down, okay, through the throat, which is why your voice has a profound effect on your emotions. Okay, it goes into the heart chakra. So you're talking for you spiritual people, throat chakra, heart chakra. Okay, then goes down and fans out into your gut. Okay, so what does this do? It calms you. The vagus nerve will calm you. The hormones, it's sort of like adding a permanent calm to it. Okay, so your hormones will. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, you guys. Good morning, Chantel. Good morning, Madeline. The hormones will accentuate that healing. It'll speed it up. And what happens? You begin to settle. How long does this take? Well, our program is 12 weeks, okay? But the settling begins like third session. By the third 1 hour session, people are going, whoa, like different world. Okay, why? Because they're not plagued by their overthinking. Okay, so we have a breathing exercise that we do. It's called panting. And the panting exercise is to slow down your frontal lobe of your brain, okay, the prefrontal cortex. Okay, sometimes I talk in, I try not to talk in too technical terms because people get lost, okay, and they tune out. They just check out mentally. Okay, we don't want you to do that. This is valuable information. Okay, so what happens is it relaxes your thought processor, okay, where you get all your thoughts, okay, and it slows it down. What does that do? It allows you more space. It allows you more relaxation. It's like massage therapy from the inside out. Okay, so when you go to a massage therapist, right, and they work on you, they go, wow, dude, you're stressed, or girl, you're stressed, right? Human beings don't only stress on the outside. Okay, they stress all the way through their body. Okay, this is why when we work with people, their voices are tight in the beginning. Okay, now this started a long time ago when we started doing this. We did the research in 2007 because we saw a profound occurrence of confidence in young children and adults, and we wondered what the hell was going on. I mean, it was more than normal. Okay, but I was making a mistake in my teaching. It wasn't really a mistake. It was just a different way of doing it, right? But I didn't know that this was affecting people like this. Okay, so when I saw this, I go, wow, I gotta look this up. I gotta check on this. Something's happening. Okay, so the other principle we come from. Okay, so my teaching is mental, spiritual, physical. The mental part is I want you to think exercise. Okay, the physical part is the exercises that we do. We have two exercises that set you free from here. The prison is here. Okay, the spiritual part is you're not your body, you're not your name. You're that energy, that spirit that lives in here. You're a spiritual being. And the power that you possess can accomplish anything in life. Anything. Okay? And I've applied this and I tested it. I keep testing it over and over. And like, sometimes I get bored. Okay? Sometimes I'm like, okay, what's next? So a few years ago I had to really search and look for another goal because I had accomplished all of my goals. Everything I set out in life to do was done by the time we got to the pandemic. And then during the pandemic, I had a lot of time to think, and I think a lot of people did too, right? So a lot of people made a lot of progress with their thinking time. Okay, because I talk about the mouse wheel all the time, right? The mouse wheel. Okay, Monday through Friday, right? You got the 8-hour job or whatever it is. Okay, Saturday it's soccer with the kids. Sunday it's church. Monday you're back on the mouse wheel. People live like that an entire life. Okay, you're on a schedule, and you're on the calendar. You're on the clock. You're on all of these entities, these elements. And what is that for? Well, for productivity, for society, we have to have some sort of organization. Okay, but if you're on this mouse wheel, okay, and you're not aware that all this suffering that you're incurring is because of the mouse wheel, is because of what's happening internally in here in the kingdom, then you need to be pulled out so you can experience the separation. Why? Because everything gets stored in your parasympathetic nervous system. And pretty soon, through repetition, through the subconscious, you start thinking that all this stuff is normal. And it's not. And you can't see it when you're in it. So my former client Janice, who's been through this, is on the chat over here. We have a chat. We're on 7 platforms every morning around the world. And Janice always says, "Well, you don't know you're operating in fear because you're in it. And then when you get pulled out, you see it. You go, oh, that. Oh, okay. You see, like that, right? And your voice pulls you out of it. Okay, your voice makes you more emotionally intelligent because when you find your voice, you find yourself. Yourself is in here. Okay, when you look in the mirror, you're actually experiencing an illusion of sorts because you're focusing on the physical. You're focusing on your body. Okay, you're not your body. You're not your name. You've been given a body. You've been given a name. You're that spirit that lives in here. Okay, and all you need to do is attract these things. How do you attract these things? You have to be on the same frequency of it. What does that even mean, right? So frequency in human beings refers to emotions. Okay, frequency in human beings refers to mood. Are you happy or are you busy? Okay, if you're busy, okay, because high performance anxiety looks exactly like motivation. If you're busy, okay, some people that are busy, okay, because I coach executives. Some people that are busy don't even know that they're in it. So I had this guy. I'll tell you this quick story. So I had this guy, and he was a coach. He was a former CEO of a telephone company in Hawaii. This guy was like he was a big dog. I like to call them big dogs because they've accomplished a lot in life. Okay, he came to me for a different reason. Okay, and we were working on that. Okay, so I couldn't tell him that he was suffering from high performance anxiety. Okay, based upon everything he told me, right, week to week. So I worked with him for 12 weeks. My program is 12 weeks. In 12 weeks, he was good. Okay. But we didn't focus on the high performance anxiety. But I observed this and I go, wow, this guy's like, because he couldn't tell, okay, he couldn't tell the differences in his physical condition. He couldn't tell. He couldn't tell that his voice was getting stronger. He couldn't tell, well, he could tell that after a while, but he couldn't tell the little changes that happen, the little incremental changes that happen. Why? Because he's been desensitized. Okay? A lot of us have been desensitized. How does that happen? Conditioning. Conditioning how? Well, there's news. Okay? There's social media scrolling. Okay? There's propaganda. There's all kinds of things that we get. There's advertising, radio, television. Do you have a television in your house? Oh, big conditioning. Okay, big conditioning. And slowly you get influenced. Okay, I'm here to give you information. I'm not here to influence you. Okay, I'm just here to give you information. But you get influenced. What does that mean? Well, you start to follow whatever it is. You go, oh, that's interesting. And then you think about it. After the thought comes the emotion. After the emotion comes the action. After the action comes the result. Yesterday we were talking about, right, self-fulfilling prophecies. So if the result is negative and you confirm the result being negative and going, yeah, that's how I am, you will repeat the process in your subconscious. And what happens eventually? Well, eventually you come to conclusions like, I'm unlucky, right? I can't do this. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. Whatever it is. And you confirm it. Now the cycle repeats in your subconscious. Can you get out of it? Oh, yeah. How do you get out of it? Affirmations, meditation, focalization, visualization. So the affirmations, I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. Thank you. And you write it in the morning when your brain is in theta state. Okay? Oh, Janice is here. Good morning, Janice. Oh, good morning, Sarah. Good morning. Okay, when your brain is in theta state, when you're fully relaxed, and then what? Then you speak it out loud at night, just before you go to bed. Why is this important? Because it's going into your subconscious. How long does this take? 66 days. Okay, 66 days. Don't miss a day. Just do it every day. Make it a habit, because after 2 weeks, you'll get into the habit already. After 2 weeks, your subconscious goes, oh, this is what we do. Okay. And you just do it. It's not something that you have to force yourself to do. It's nothing that you have to, struggle to do. This is very simple. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm confident. Thank you. And speak it out loud at night when your brain is in theta state again. So it's not a big deal. Okay, so what's the meditation part? Stillness. Okay? It's stillness. Good morning, Moxie. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Checkmate. Subcoda, good morning. Laura, good morning. And what does this do? Stillness creates that separation that you need. Okay? From the world, from the pattern that you've created as a result of the conditioning you've experienced. Humans are very impressionable beings, very highly intelligent beings. Okay? And while I'm on the topic, animals have this one reality. They look out, they have this one reality. Human beings can observe ourselves. And because we can observe ourselves, we're critical of the actions that we do, because we see the action and we see the result. We think the thought, we feel the emotion, we perform the action, we see the result. And if we judge that result, and this is why in the Bible it says, judge not and ye shall not be judged. Because when you start being judgmental, it becomes a habit in your subconscious. It's a very bad thing to do, because it lowers your self-esteem. It lowers pride in yourself. Okay? when you judge something, you identify with whatever it is in that way. Okay. So when you do that, when you judge, so you get triggered into a thought. You think the thought, emotion comes. Okay. Emotion comes, action follows. Action, what follows action? Result. Result, result happens. You're not happy with the result. What do? You judge the result because you have to categorize it. You have to classify it, right? This was bad. That sucks. That's terrible. Now you've pronounced that upon the result. So what happens in your subconscious? Well, if you do it with feeling, your subconscious cannot judge. Your subconscious goes, oh, bought lottery tickets? Good luck, Manuel. I wish you well. I hope you win. Okay, but what happens? Sorry, we have a chat over there. What happens when you judge the result? You go, this is that. This is bad. This sucks. I made a mistake. I suck. Whatever it is, you pronounce judgment on it. What happens when you pronounce judgment on it goes into your subconscious, especially if you do it with feeling, especially if you do it over and over again. Okay, because when you get in that negativity loop, okay, we talked about that. Okay, when you get in that negativity loop, it happens again, and the judgment is relatively the same. And then you say to yourself, it happened again. There you go. See, I told you it wouldn't work. You see, it's bad stuff, or whatever it is. And then what does that do? It confirms it in your subconscious, and your subconscious, okay, even more, and your subconscious, okay, we're doing that, okay. And then you create another loop, another loop, another loop. But by the time that you're consumed in this loop, or in these loops, okay, you just think life is like this. You just go, well, I just accept it. This is the way things are. Oh, you won a metal detector. Congratulations, Manuel. Congratulations. That's amazing. Okay? So, when this happens, you get confirmation. When you get confirmation, it repeats. When it repeats, it seems like normal. You need to be pulled out. How do you get pulled out? Through your voice. Okay? So first, your body, okay, is about 80% communication, okay, from body to brain. Okay, only 20% of your communication goes brain to body. It goes the other way around. Your subconscious is a culmination of all of your senses. Okay? So it's not your brain that assesses everything. Your body is a sensor. What you see, what you touch, what you speak, okay? How you feel, all of these things. And then it goes to the brain. Your body monitors everything. And this is why the vagus nerve healing is somatic. Somatic is referring to the body. It's somatic healing. It heals your body. What does this healing do? It stops overthinking. It stops anxiety. It stops all these things. How does it do that? Energy, frequency, vibration, and velocity. What does the energy do? It starts to separate your problems, okay? Sometimes trauma, okay? It diminishes trauma. It doesn't make trauma go away. It diminishes it so you can control it. I work with military people that have PTSD because they've been through some rough stuff, okay? And they have PTSD. And they come to me, and then they start managing their PTSD really easy, right? They get alarmed. They still get alarmed. They still, their heart starts beating when they start getting, like a panic attack, right? And like I said, I make no medical claims, okay? But their heart starts beating. They get alarmed, but they take deep breaths. Okay, a couple deep breaths, and then they move through it. And they come back to me. They go, "Wow, this was amazing. I actually made it through them all." Okay. Jesus is the Trinity. Yeah. Jesus is the thing. Yeah, he taught us all about that. All humans will eventually make it into heaven. Yes, of course. Jesus is the great physician. Yes, he is. Yep. And he has passed it on to us. It's up to us to practice it. So what do? Right? They make it through the mall. Guess what? That negativity loop becomes a positive. Why? Well, okay. First, there was a trigger. What was the trigger? The trigger was anxiety. Okay. Number two, what was the thought? The thought was, oh boy, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. Right? That was the thought. What was the action? Deep breaths, calming. Okay. Get it together. Right? Walk through the mall. What was the result? Oh my God, I made it. Wow, I did that easier. Wow, that was better. Okay, now you have a positivity loop. Now what happens? Now they judge at the end. You judge the result, right? You judge the result and you go, oh yeah, that was good. I did that. I accomplished that. Okay, which is why we focus on the positive results that our clients get, because that's important, right? You don't focus on the negative stuff, you focus on the positive stuff. Okay, what went right this week? What did you do this week that was good? Okay, and the reason why you don't point out negative stuff to people is because they start thinking about, oh, well, Junior said I did this wrong. Junior said this was bad. Junior said this was whatever, right? And that becomes the anchor to the loop. Okay, and when that anchor is applied to the loop, guess what happens? When the trigger happens, now the thought occurs. The thought is going to be judgmental. The thought is going to be negative. What happens then? The action is going to stem out of negativity. The action is going to stem out of a bad thought instead of a good thought. What is the action going to be? Right? Well, action is going to be negative. What's the result going to be? Negative or fearful. Anything you make, any decision you make out of fear, out of pressure, okay, out of any negative emotion, and all the negative emotions are rooted in fear. All of them, every single one of them. Okay, I'm talking about hesitation. I'm talking about procrastination. Okay, I'm talking about worry. I'm talking about all that stuff. Okay, it's all rooted in fear. Okay, so worry is the least of the negative vibrations. If you're worrying all the time, okay, you're at stage 1. Okay, then irritation, disappointment, criticism, anger. I have a list over here. Hate, boredom, envy, despair, grief, guilt, shame, and fear. And fear is the anchor. On the positive side, what are the positive emotions? The highest emotion is love. Okay, because that's the energy that you were born in before life happened. This is why you never see angry babies. Okay? So from the very least good emotion, which is satisfaction, okay, going up to love. Satisfaction, hope, enthusiasm, excitement, passion, joy, gratitude, peace, and love. There you go. So now, right, if the anchor is love, or let's say peace, or let's say satisfaction or enthusiasm, what do you think the loop's going to result in? It's going to be a better loop. So we focus on the positive results. So my first question to my clients is usually, how's the triggers? How are your triggers? And my answer that I normally get is, yeah, they were a little less this week. They were a little lower this week. Okay. Wonderful tools, controls. Yeah. Thank you, Janice. Janice went through this. Janice did this. Yeah. Yep. And this all happens through your voice. Okay. Let me show you what it looks like. I have a video. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, let me show you a video. Okay, so this is somatic healing through the voice. Okay. Can I? There. Okay, like that. It's like that. Like that. Okay, you guys over here, like that. Oops, like that. There you go. Okay. Okay, and these go way up there. Way up there. As high as you can physically go. And it begins to change your brain chemistry. How does that happen? your neurotransmitters secrete oxytocin and endorphins. Okay, now if you're using this process for, let's say, singers, which is how we started with this, right? They open up and sing. Every human being can sing. Every single human being can sing. Okay? Why? Because when you're open, that channel can just happen. That relaxed sound that singing is can just happen. But if you're really, really tight inside, okay, and that comes from overthinking, that comes from anxiety, everything that's rooted in fear, trauma, all of that, you're going to be very tight inside. And when that happens, what happens? Well, you have a problem opening up, literally. Okay? When you begin to open, what happens? You become more open in general with people. You start telling them how you feel in a good way. Okay? Because what is the bad way? The bad way, right, is when you're passive aggressive and it builds up, all of a sudden, boom, right? That's not the way to do it. Okay? You need to come from love. You need to come from at least satisfaction. Because if you come from negativity, what reaction are you going to get from someone? Negative. Okay? Life is a mirror. Okay? People that you interact with are your mirrors. Okay? If you're openly nice to somebody, generally, they're going to be nice back. If you see somebody at a Starbucks or something, right, and they're all grouchy looking, are you going to talk to them? I don't think so, right? Good morning. Good morning, Jazz. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Ranchero. Good morning, guys. So you're not going to interact with people like that. And this is why like attracts like. This is how you know like attracts like. Because if somebody's happy and then the other person is grouchy, they're not going to be attracted to each other. Grouchy people don't even like happy people. They resent happy people. Why? Because they're not happy. Okay? So what does the vagus nerve do? When we do this process and you sing at high rates of frequency, okay, or what we call velocity is wind speed. Okay, so velocity is the amount that you push out. And we get our clients to increase the amount. What happens? Well, the vagus nerve affects the heart rate, the breathing, the digestion, because it goes all the way down into the gut. Okay, you could look it up. It's something important that you should know if you're suffering from anxiety. Okay, if you can't look people in the eye when you're talking to them, if you're avoiding people, okay, if you're closed, like we call it this, right? This is closed. This is closed. This process through the voice opens people up. Okay? And they become more open. They become more receptive. Thank you. Thank you. Isabella, good morning. Okay, they become more receptive. They become more open. They become more gentle. They become more loving. They become more accepting. Because your neurotransmitters start firing oxytocin and endorphins. Oxytocin is the bonding hormone. Endorphins is the feel-good hormone. When this starts saturating your brain, okay, several times during the hour, so we do one hour once a week, 12 weeks. In 12 weeks, you feel good. Okay, what happens when you feel good? Feeling good is separating from all the bad stuff in your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, you separate from all that stuff. And now you can get pulled out of the box. You turn around, you look back in the box, you go, oh yeah, that was happening. Because you're not aware. Why? Because you've been conditioned. I was very, very lucky that I had the right mentor the first time. My first mentor. I was very, very lucky. My second mentor was more of a professional mentor. But my first mentor was a family member. He was my mom's youngest brother. And he put me through mental, spiritual, and physical training. And I wasn't, this started when I was 13. I wasn't really on board. Okay. I wasn't on board to follow, but I was on board to learn. And I learned and I sat there every day. Yes, we're here every day, 7 a.m. Hawaii time. Okay, and this is about how the voice can heal anxiety. If you have anxiety, this is something you should know. You can look it up. Then if you want to see me, you can see me. Okay, but I want to give you the information so that you understand that this is not a band-aid. This is not like medication that wears off. It doesn't wear off. This is permanent. But you have to do the maintenance. That's why it's affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, but this vocalization process, oxytocin is the bonding hormone. So what does this do? This makes you want to bond more. Okay, this makes you want to be more sociable, makes you more friendly. So if you're like this, most of my clients come to me like this. Okay, it doesn't matter if they're professionals or not. They come to me like this. And this process starts relaxing them like this, and then open, then open, then open, then like that. In 12 weeks. Okay, the openness happens, I want to say the second month. But that openness expands. What does the endorphins do? It makes you feel good. Okay, now the vagus nerve makes you feel good. The vagus nerve goes down and opens the throat chakra. Then it opens the heart chakra. What happens when your heart opens? Well, I used to keep a box of Kleenex at my studio when I did in-persons. Now I do online. So people have to get their own Kleenex. But I had a box of Kleenex on the counter. I had to, because somewhere during this process, people would just break down in tears. Okay. I had a psychiatrist that came to me. The first session, he broke down in tears. And I'm like, it's okay, doc. It's all right. And I walked him through the whole process. By the fourth session, I said, so what do you think, doc? And I thought, well, he's a brain guy. So he'll tell me something profound, something interesting. He said, I feel it, but I can't put my finger on it. And he's a psychiatrist. That's the spiritual part of this. That's your energy part of this, or your spirit part of this. You're not your body, you're not your name, you're that spirit that lives in here. Whatever you want to call that, energy, spirit, whatever. I'm not here to tell you what to believe, okay? But I'm telling you that this is powerful. This can heal you, okay? But you need to project it. And in order to be able to project it, you need to develop the muscles necessary to project it. So that's what happens in this 12-week period, okay? So because 80% of communication is body to brain and not brain to body, only 20% is brain to body. Your body is absorbing everything. Your parasympathetic nervous system is absorbing everything, and this process helps separate you from that. Okay? It diminishes that through your nervous system. Then what happens? Well, you don't get those triggers, those gut reactions. You don't get those gut reactions. Your attention gets called to it, but you're like, okay, it's that. And this is really important for my PTSD clients, okay, because they need to be brought down in sensitivity, because they've been sensitized into trauma. They've been sensitized into reaction, and this helps them become less reactionary. Okay, overthinkers, it's great for them. Why? Because it relaxes your prefrontal cortex. That's where all your thoughts come. That's where the plethora of thoughts keep coming. Okay, when you're overthinking, when you get all these ideas, how does that happen? First, you get a thought. If the thought is negative and you think it for more than 6 seconds, Janice will tell you this. Janice is good at this now. If you think it more than 6 seconds, your amygdala goes, oh, and tries to save you. Okay? Tries to save you. It's not judgmental. It doesn't go, oh, that's a negative thought. Let me give you the worst possible scenario. It doesn't do that. But it gives you negative what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? What if this? And you start thinking. Now, one negative thought has become a multiple choice of negative thoughts. And let's say you pick one of them. And let's say you think that thought for more than 6 seconds. What does the amygdala do? It gives you more based upon that thought. And if you lock onto one of those thoughts, guess what it does? After 6 seconds, it will give you another variety. And this is where people go on those negative spirals. And it becomes a problem when it happens over and over and over and over. How does it repeat like that? Your subconscious. Because your subconscious learns overthinking. It learns the patterns. It doesn't learn the subject. It doesn't learn subject matter. It learns patterns. Okay, pattern recognition is very high in human beings. And what happens? Oh, we're doing that again? Okay. And your subconscious will keep you wash, rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Going in a circle. Does it work the other way? Sure. It works the other way with positive thoughts. Then you get positive triggers. Okay? Positive triggers are like good ideas. I got the idea for this. Maybe I can invent something, whatever. Okay, then you get the thought, then you get the feeling, then you feel good. You got the thought because now it's an innovation or something positive, something good, right? Then what happens? Well, then you get a positive result, and now you judge that positive result and you go, wow, that was good. Yeah, that was a great idea. And then what happens? Then the subconscious goes, oh, we're in a positive loop? Okay. And it starts repeating that. Okay, and Sarah, my client in the UK, Sarah, told me I have trouble like thinking of negative things now. And I'm like, yeah, because Sarah is in a positive loop. See, she's in a positive loop now. So she gets good ideas, she gets good thoughts. Okay. What happens when you get a good thought? It's a good emotion. What happens when you get a good emotion? You perform a good action, and good action will give you a good result. And then what do you judge that as? A good result. What do? You give yourself credit for it, or at least pronounce it good. Oh, that was good. Wow, yeah, that worked out. Yeah, that was great. Whatever. And now what happens? Your subconscious will repeat that. Okay. Now, I don't know if your therapist is going to walk you through these things like that. Maybe, maybe not. Okay? But I have to say that I make no medical claims. But I've done this for 37 years with over 7,000 people. No one has ever failed. Why? Because they're human beings. Because this process works. Okay? So your emotions are stored in your body. Okay? Your limbic system specifically. Okay, your prefrontal cortex regulates and interprets. Okay, and well, that's where you get all the ideas, you get all the overthinking. Okay, by the time you get the result, guess where it's stored? In your parasympathetic nervous system. So it's stored in your body. So you need to be separated from it, and that's what your voice does. Why humility is very important for your life, for you to become successful. Yes. So a lot of people have been taught humility the wrong way. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. Okay, so putting others first. I'm glad you brought that up. That was very good. Hi, Lee. Hi, I was wondering if you could give my friend AJ a shout out. Thank you. Okay. Shout out, AJ. There you go, AJ. Aloha from Hawaii. There you go. Okay, AJ's got a shout out. There you go. It's like singing away the sadness. Yeah, it's like straight toning away the sadness. So these are straight tones. This is not singing. Okay, these are straight tones, but they're done with pressure. And they're done with very high frequency because you go way, 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 way high up. And that's what triggers your neurotransmitters. That's what triggers the oxytocin and endorphins. And that's what makes you feel good. Okay? And it's self-expression. And you can look at it that way. So you express yourself, you feel good. You feel good, you express better. You express better, you feel better. You feel better, you express better. And all the time you increase in volume. When you increase in volume, what happens? Your hormones start. We don't need more, we just need enough. Yeah, but human beings were designed for more. That's the only thing, and that's why you see what's happening in the world. Yeah, but needing enough, I think you should change the word need to require. That's a better way to think about it. But we only require enough. You're correct about that. And the reason why we're designed to want more and to achieve more and those things is because of evolution to survive. But you can't live in survival mode. Thank you. But sometimes better to keep an opinion for yourself. Yeah, sure. Especially if it's a revolutionary idea, Manuel. Copyright your idea first, then speak about it. Okay? So, repeated experiences create automatic responses. Okay? And that's where you get your triggers from. If your repeated experience, sorry, if your repeated experiences are negative, guess what happens? Negative result, right? Negative memory, negative. Okay, then what happens? Negative repetition. Why? Because when you experience something negative, there's usually emotion involved. Repetition and emotion is necessary to go, well, to actually to cement it into your subconscious, to establish a pattern in your subconscious, and that pattern begins to repeat. And you can stop it, but you need to stop it at the beginning. You need to stop it at the trigger. How do you do that? Say stop. Very simple. But you have to get in the habit of saying stop. Okay, you have to get in the habit of saying stop when you have a trigger. Okay, because that trigger produces a thought. Okay, so you see something, it gives you a thought. That thought brings the emotion. Okay, at the point where you get the thought, if you say stop and you focus on something positive, you say stop and you focus on something good. Okay, focus on things you love and people you love. Okay, if you say stop and you focus on that, guess what? You start to form a positive loop habit. Why? Because you don't allow negative thoughts in. Then after 6 seconds of the negative thought, your amygdala doesn't do anything. Okay? So these things are all wired into the human being. It's hardwired into the human being for evolution, for survival. But you just can't live in survival. Can't live in survival mode. That's crazy. What's having, yeah, I'm not gonna go that deep, but it depends. It depends on which direction you're going. But why don't you message me and I'll give you the information and we could discuss that. That's a good topic to discuss. It's just that I don't think my audience can go that deep that quick. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is give the everyday person some information, okay, that they can take and look up. Okay, I'm just planting seeds this morning, but I'm giving you factual information on how this process works. And if you go to you go to our review, Here For You Life Coaching Honolulu, okay, Honolulu, Hawaii, we only have 5-star reviews. And those are all the people who have achieved success through this process. Janice is one of them. She did, yeah, you can message me there. Janice was one of them. And now she's coming, she came out of herself. Now she's doing things, she's doing activities. And I wanted to mention, because I was thinking about Janice earlier, and I wanted to mention the fact that she was a nurse. Okay, she was a professional. And then she retired. Remember yesterday I was talking about the military and my client who was former military. Okay, he didn't retire military, but he was former military. And he told me something very interesting. I'll repeat it today. Right? So he told me that military people, the lifespan of career military people when they retire is 5 years. I didn't know that. What was he talking about? So you're in this survival mode, okay? And you're being fueled by adrenaline, and you're being fueled by things that make you anxious, and you're being fueled by stimuli, basically. And what happens with this? You keep go, 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 go. What happens at retirement? Stop. your body goes into shock. Your body goes, hey, what's up? We're not doing anything. It wants to go. Okay? And then what happens? Then things start to go wrong. Hi, Claire. Good morning. No, Claire, yeah, you cannot manifest for someone else. Yeah, no, you can help your dad. You can help your dad think about it in a different way, and that will help him. Help him think about it in a different way, but he'll have to be open. Okay, he'll have to join you in that thought. So when you have that pattern, okay, like I said last year, I had this attorney, what I would call a high-powered professional, because she has a very, very stressful job, and she told me she had chest pain. And I told her, I'll get rid of the chest pain. And I did. I got rid of it in 4 months with this process. All her anxiety gone. Yeah, she had daily stress from her job. Everybody does. I do. Okay. But she had, no chest pain. And I said, how long did you have chest pain? She goes, I've always had chest pain. She was in her late 40s. Okay. She began her law career right after law school in her 20s. You see? Right? That stress pattern, that loop pattern. Okay? And many high powered professionals don't know they're in it. And when this happened and she got rid of her chest pain, she said, I wish I had found you in my 20s. And I was like, well, there was no online when I wasn't online because, it wasn't created back then. But yeah, that would have been cool, right? But it gets accepted as normal. I don't care what. I don't care what it is. Whatever you do, okay, over and over and over, goes into your subconscious. Your subconscious repeats that process. And for you, it's normal. And this is why everyone has a different reality. Okay. So if you're, oh, thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Hey, Jesse. Good morning. Thank you again. Thank you. Thank you. Jesse says, my favorite junior. Oh, thank you, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you. Did I miss? I think I missed a comment. Hang on, let me look. Okay. She can use Ho'oponopono, but Ho'oponopono it will help, but it won't cure someone else. It will help them, but he needs to be brought into the effort, so to speak. Okay, you cannot just pray for somebody and they get well. They have to join you in prayer. They have to be in alignment. So alignment is important. Okay? Alignment. So in the Bible, okay, in the Holy Bible, where it says, if two or more come together in my name, it shall be done. The esoteric meaning of that is two or more, meaning the conscious and subconscious, because they have to be in alignment, then it shall be done. And you have many instances of people curing themselves. People get through cancer. People get through all kinds of stuff. Okay, I'm not saying I've never worked with anyone with cancer. I have no experience with anyone with cancer. Okay, but I suppose anything is possible because the kingdom is within. Okay. Your influence is really booming. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, you can help yourself emotionally. You can become more emotionally sound. Okay, so that your emotions don't take control over you. You take control over your emotions. Okay, Janice experienced that. She experienced that. But this is a natural process. This is through your voice. This is vagus nerve. Look it up, the vagus nerve. So look up vagus nerve stimulation. Okay, that's what this is. But this is not just, so when you look up the definition, it's going to tell you like, okay, this is humming, this is singing, it includes chanting. It'll tell you all of these things, right? That's not what we do. We do this with velocity. We do this strongly. Let me show you again. There's some new people that came on our feed and on our chat. So I'm going to show you guys again, okay? So it's, we'll just show the chat, Okay, because everybody else kind of saw it. So this is what it is. This is what it is, you guys, right there. Okay? That's what it is. Okay? And that will change your life. Okay? And that, so again, this is vagus nerve stimulation. Okay? But it's also hormonal. Okay? Oxytocin and endorphin. So we do that process a few times in an hour. We do 12 1-hour sessions consecutively. Okay, if you miss it, you can't make it on a day, we have to reschedule you for that week because you have to do it every week, once a week for 12 weeks. And here's the thing I've concluded through this process, right? I've done over 7,000 people. And what I've concluded is human beings are like presents. You never know what's inside until you open them up, right? Because your gifts get clouded. Oh, thank you, Marjan. Marjan, hey, good morning. Thank you for joining us again. But your gifts, okay, your abilities, your natural abilities. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Rustic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Your natural abilities come out when you're clear, when there's clarity. How do you get clarity? How do you get clear? How do you get, oh, thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you. How do you get clear, right? How do you get past anxiety? How do you clear? Through your voice. Through expressions of tones with strength, okay? And frequency. You have to go high because it triggers the hormones. When you get stronger, so we have a panting exercise as well, okay? The panting exercise is to develop your diaphragm to push more air up, okay? The straight tone exercises that you saw, sure, yeah, you can contact me, sure. Good morning. Good, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but good morning, right over there. Yeah, good morning. Okay, so I don't, so, you know, when it comes to producing more hormones, right, how does that happen? It increases over the weeks. Why? Because your muscles get stronger, your diaphragm pushes more air up, and your pharyngeal muscles, those muscles, okay, get stronger with the process, but you have to do it with strength. What happens when the muscles are stronger? It creates more pressure. Okay, how does that work? Well, when there's more pressure, it secretes more hormones. It triggers more hormones. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Rustic. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You're from Turkey? Well, okay, I don't understand. Maybe, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Translate. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna translate. Speak Turkish. Okay. Yeah, I should. I'll learn Turkish one day. I guess. I don't know if I ever have enough time. I could not even scream at a concert. Okay, can you scream now, Janice? Can you do that? She's so funny. I'm very honored that you're here. I'm very honored that Turkish people come by. Thank you for being here. That's so cool. That is so cool. Yeehaw. Okay, that's a yes. All right, so Janice can scream at concerts now. You have to open your throat chakra. Okay, when your throat chakra opens, guess what? You can put more voice out. When you find your voice, you find yourself. When you find yourself, you find clarity. When you find clarity, okay, it's very important to be clear because then there's no emotions rooted in fear, okay? There's no worry, there's no overthinking, there's no anxiety, there's no anger, okay? Do you get angry? Oh yeah, everybody gets angry. I get angry. But in normal situations, you get angry when there's something to be angry about. Are you supposed to get anxious? Well, when there's something that makes you anxious. But when you have triggers all the time that make you anxious, when you can't seem to get rid of the anxiety, when you're like, wow, like I wish I could just, relax, right? Because anxiety does not allow you to relax. This process allows you to relax from the inside out. So I always say it's like massage therapy from the inside out. It's not like the outside in. But when a human being, and I'll say this again, when a human being gets stressed, they don't only stress on the outside, they stress on the inside. Their muscles on the inside are stressed as well as the muscles on the outside. So when you have a massage therapist going, oh man, you're stressed, dude, or girl, you're stressed, right? You're stressed right through your body. And that's why your voice is tight. But when we start loosening the voice, okay, when we start relaxing you from the inside out, guess what happens? Everything relaxes. Your thinking relaxes. Your muscles relax. And your muscles get stronger. And what happens then? Well, then you can push more sound. When you push more sound, what happens? It triggers more hormones. When you trigger more hormones, what happens? You feel better faster. The vagus nerve automatically is going to do this process, but it gets helped with the hormones, so it's a hormonal response. Okay. Now, what does this do to your subconscious? It starts forming those positivity loops. Okay, we talked about the negativity loops, right? So positive, what's a positive feedback loop? A positive feedback loop consists of the same structure. Okay, trigger, thought, emotion, action, result, judgment, or confirmation. Okay, confirmation because you're going to say, yeah, I screwed up again. Judgment because that's the judgment. You judge yourself. Okay, so first you get the trigger, then you think the thought, then the emotion comes, right? The emotion of the thought, whatever the thought is. If it's negative, negative. If it's positive, feel good, positive. Then what happens? Then the result, okay, and then the judgment. Then you go, oh yeah, that was great. And what happens? It starts to become positive. Then what happens? It starts to repeat through your subconscious. And this is where manifestation happens. Okay, so if you're manifesting really good stuff, if good stuff is showing up in your life, you're doing it right, keep going. But if you're starting to notice, okay, and you have to be aware of these patterns, because something can start to go south really quick with your subconscious. That human beings are that intelligent. And if things start going wrong, or you notice there's 2 or things that went wrong in a row kind of thing, you need to take a look at your loop, okay? Because you're starting to form a negative loop. How do you get out of it? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization, okay? I am so happy and grateful now that I am thinking positive. Thank you. There you go. That's the start. Okay, let's say you've been clear for a while. Let's say you go through my training. You go through my training for 12 weeks. You go through my program for 12 weeks. After the 12-week period, everything's going right. And in about a year, you notice that there's this pattern that's starting to creep in. Something went wrong. Then the next thing went wrong. Next thing went wrong. Okay, take out your pen. I am so happy and grateful now that I am confident. Thank you. Or I am so happy and grateful now that I am making responsible decisions. Thank you. Then what happens? Then you start to autocorrect. Your subconscious goes, oh, that's what we're working on? And like I said, it takes 2 weeks. 2 weeks of writing it down every day. And your subconscious starts to take notice, starts to work, starts to act upon it. It takes 66 days for it to become a habit. And you can look this up. Okay, minimum 66 days. With some people more, some people it's 120 days. Okay, it depends. It depends on the level of your conditioning. Okay, how deep have you been conditioned into all kinds of fear? But if you've been through my program, okay, by the 12th week, you're aware. Okay, by the 12th week, you'll know. And it won't take you long to get it back. And again, affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay, now what's the visualization part? Well, you have to see yourself worthy, first of all. And you have to see yourself there. You have to see yourself in an acceptable state for yourself. Okay? But the good news is, along the way, okay, like second or third session, you start to become more aware, you start to appreciate yourself more, your self-esteem starts to rise, okay? And you make better decisions, you get better results, and then the positive feedback loop is established. And then it just keeps repeating, keeps repeating. And that's what Sarah was telling us is happening to her. Okay, so she's almost at 12 weeks. Janice has been through my program, so she's been through this. Okay, so this is for anxiety. It gets rid of anxiety, fear, overthinking, all the negative emotions. Okay, frustration, all of this stuff. Worry breaks you out of worry. Okay, worry is like praying for something bad to happen. It's like please make this happen. Okay, that's what worry is. Don't worry because it goes into your subconscious. Okay, just say stop when you get the thought and focus on something positive. Okay, focus on the things you love and people you love. Okay, I need to get going. I have clients this morning, so but thank you for being here, and we shall see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and give you more important information that will help your life. It will change your life. Okay, I'm Junior from Here For You Life Coaching. It's hereforyoulifecoaching.com. If you want a free consultation, we do that, and you can try the process. And if you like it, you can sign up. If you don't like it, you don't have to. So, but at least you try the process, and you'll get information that you can do your own research and probably do some things that will help. Okay.